So yeah, let's get this party on the road. If you want to just keep letting people in,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome. And then yeah, let's do this. Cool.
Sure.
All right, guys. So how's everyone doing anyways? Good? Excited?
Good. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Have we all met with, at least last week, met with your accountability partner at least once?
Never
Yes.
met, but I phone called.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Virtually or phone call, whatever. Had some sort of communication, right? And if not, if you're not assigned still, I mean, like Carla, such a boss. Like I didn't even sign her. She just found her own accountability partner. I didn't sign, so. So if you're having troubles getting a hold of the person, and Laura, I did talk to your gal. She reached out to you today. She doesn't let me know.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
If you're having challenges with getting a hold of them or whatever, or some people sign up and join and it's in spirit only and not actually do anything. So I would hope that all of the people that sign up, that are taking action, that they're actually going to have accountability partner they can consistently meet with, right? So let me know if you're having those type of challenges and we can switch things up or figure out a solution. Okay. I did, by the way, create a modular in the class. So in the classroom tab under negotiations, with a lot of the documents you would need, like the purchase agreement that's assignable. That's big. If you're a real estate agent, you may not be able to use most of those, but I did include transfer of interest addendum, which you can use with your Utah RepC. So that's a way you can transfer the interest to of that contract to someone else and still be, even if you're an agent. Or generally if you're using Utah RepC, because Utah RepC says specifically it's non-transferable. And obviously, and I said this yesterday, if you're using any of the documents, make sure you're vetting everything, check with the local professional. Want to make sure that we're getting ourselves in trouble, okay? Awesome. Any other questions we have about anything else, or should we just talk about objections or overcoming objections? What do you guys?
Where did you say those documents are, George?
So they're going to be in here. Let's get them in the classrooms. And it's in the 60-day wholesale challenge. And it should be under, deal analysis. I'm sorry, deal analysis. I apologize. And so there a lot of it are either links or documents. So make sure to make a copy for yourself, and then you can edit it and do whatever you got to do.
I have a weird blockage occurring because of Thanksgiving. I feel really rude about calling people right now. Like I just do. I feel really mean about doing it.
Is anything you're doing is mean?
I don't know. I just, in my mind, calling them to buy their house. I don't know. It feels disrespectful this week. I don't know why it just feels mean.
I think it could be a perspective, Heather, because imagine if somebody's going to a lot of trouble and you're actually going to put them in a better situation by getting rid of this. It could be a blessing, right, in Thanksgiving.
That's it, right there.
I can tell myself that, but I'm pushed through it. But in my mind, I feel like I'm being.
Okay, here's what I need you to do, Heather.
Okay.
And this is true when if you guys are door knocking on doors, contacting the seller some fashion or another. This is true. What you need to do is create an avatar. Okay, and I think we've talked about this before, you and I, but you need to create an avatar, and it needs to be as detailed as humanly possible, right? Give this avatar a name, John, Maria, Bill, whatever, doesn't matter. Give that person a name and what they're going through. So if you're calling notice of defaults, for example, they're going through foreclosure. It's the worst time of their life. They are literally on their knees right now, praying for someone to come and help them. It's just like Carla said, it's perspective. These people are in a terrible situation. And so I want you to write down what their situation is, what it doesn't, and even if you call someone they're not in the same situation, it doesn't matter. But you're putting it out there. You're creating this avatar. So put in their situation. This John, he has lost his job, he or got sick or whatever, and he has 5 kids, and he would be happy just to sell the property as is, with basically what he owes, subject to. And because he's having such a hard time, he wants to remove this stress. Okay, and so every time before you go, and then on top of that, what I recommend is either like just go Google Images and do a description, John 40s, whatever, anything, and then grab a picture and then like print it off or put it in the paper or put it in your file or something with your description of your avatar, and then do the same thing. Or you can even go on like Google Image, or not Google Images, but you can have AI draw you a picture, like it does, however you want to do it, doesn't matter. And before you make that first contact, spend like 5 minutes thinking about John or whoever the name of your avatar is. Spend 5 minutes thinking about him and the emotion that he is feeling. And think of the emotion that you will feel when you're able to come in and help him. Okay, like just putting yourself in that emotional state of like, how would it feel after John is, because John is in the hardest. Now, when you're calling, maybe John turns out to be Bob and he's 80 years old, not 40, or whatever his scenario is, right? Or it's Sally, it doesn't matter, right? But you're putting yourself in a different mental state. And it's like, instead of like, because if you're having like a mental block, like the holidays or whatever, because Carlo nailed it on the head. It's really perspective. If someone's going through the hard time, they need you to call them right now. They don't need to wait till after the holidays. After the holidays, that's when the foreclosure. Even if you're not buying it right away, but just them knowing that, oh, it's under contract, I have an out. I can actually enjoy my holidays and instead
that portion of what you said makes me feel a little better. Like, oh, now I have an out. I can enjoy my holidays. Like I can connect
exactly.
with that.
So, and even if someone does, when you're making phone calls or knocking doors or whatever contact method you're choosing, even if someone does say something to you like, oh, how dare you call Thanksgiving is tomorrow, which would be, I don't think people would say that, but who knows? There's strange people sometimes, but like, that's fine, because you're looking for John. He wasn't John. You're one call closer to talking to John.
Powerful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep mentioning because I don't know that I'm the only person that feels that way. So maybe I'm the only person that will speak up.
No, that's why it's important to come up with stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you're having some blockage or whatever, it's really good that you did that. Thank you.
Well, I just want to add something. Yesterday, I did a few phone calls, and
Yeah.
the last person who talked to me was very, very disrespectful. He told me even to F myself, and he told me that he was going to report me with the police for harassing into the FTC. And after that, I didn't want to make any more phone calls because, I mean, he's talking to me, and it's just like I felt bad. So I said, no, I'm not doing phone calls for today. And I still feel kind of like afraid because, I mean, he doesn't even know my name, but he has my number. And I did the voice phone number thing, but still, I mean, I don't know what to do from here. Okay. So I'm asking for your advice. Yeah,
no, I'm glad you're bringing this up, because sometimes, I mean, in my experience, will you run into someone like that? Absolutely, obviously that happens, right? But it's a rarity. It's not an everyday occurrence. Even when I was making 600 phone calls a day, it was still a rarity when someone would come up to someone that's that aggressive, right? But it does happen, obviously, right? So one, you didn't do anything wrong. I mean, assuming you didn't call him at 12 o'clock at night, right? And you called the number. What were you calling off of, like, notice of defaults, or what was the scenario?
Yeah, it was an action list that I called from.
Action, got it.
Yeah, and he had his action on December 4, but it's saying that I'm taking advantage of the people who is going through this, and I'm like,
yeah, no,
I'm trying to help, but no, he doesn't look at it that way.
No, absolutely, and everyone that called him said that they're trying to help. So that's a challenge, right? So put yourself in his position for a second, and instead of, like, easier said than done, but instead of having like that bad feeling inside of like, oh man, that is something wrong, I hurt his feelings, we want to turn that into like almost sympathy. Because think of this guy. He is literally going to lose his home on the 4th of December. How many people have been calling him, asking to buy his property since this whole process started for him? 20, 30, 40, 100 maybe? You know,
Yeah.
you are the one of many. And unfortunately, you're in a terrible situation. And absolutely, there's people like that. And so he maybe have dealt with some of those people, or they get in the contract, they nickel and dime him, and they do a lot of, just waste his time. Not only is that going on right now, but when you're going through foreclosure, you're about to lose your house. It's the worst time of your life. Most of the times, if you are married, you're probably getting divorced or in that pathway because you're losing the house. You haven't been making money. You haven't been making your other payments. Like I've literally walked to home to check out the status of it or the condition, and there was no power because they got shut off. The utilities got shut off because they didn't have payment. They weren't making payments. So it's just a terrible situation for everyone. And it's really sad to kind of to see that. So he's getting calls from investors. He's getting calls from his credit card companies, from I guarantee he's probably hiding his cars, trying to avoid repossession. Every phone call is a moment of terror for him. And you don't deserve to be treated like that, not one bit. And so I'm not trying to justify anything that he said or did. That's not okay. But when we put it in a different context and try to look at a different light, it's almost simply like this poor guy, he's gone through hell. And so we almost want to feel sorry for him because all the stuff that's going through, and again, I'm not justifying that he should have yelled at anyone and saying that he's gonna, one, there's nothing to report. You didn't break any laws, you weren't doing anything wrong. So if you wanted to contact FCC or whatever, like, okay. And and one, he didn't know your name, and the number, the Google Voice number, it's not a number that you can like really do anything with. That's why we want to use the Google numbers because sometimes you call some crazy people. But that's another ploy for creating an avatar, is because like, okay, sure, so that guy, he didn't meet your needs, right? He didn't meet that, you couldn't help him. He wouldn't allow you to help him, which is like following some of the scripts that we talked about a little bit. It's going to be very, very helpful. But so he didn't. So it just allows you to be able to keep on going, and I don't. Is this helpful to kind of think about his situation and then where it's coming from, and almost try and have pity versus the rancor, the anger, or what? Yeah, the anger.
Yes, it is.
So make sure that you're looking and try to don't give up on cold calling. Just create the avatar first. Before you do that, like I told Heather, that's for everybody, right? Put yourself in a state where you're calling it. Every no turns to a closer to that one person. And a book I'm going to recommend everyone to read is Go for No by who's the author? You guys, who's the author for Go for No? I can't remember. Go for No. It is
Richard Fenton and Andrea Waltz. And
there we are. Oh, there you go. So going for no is phenomenal, right? So as you're contacting leads, whether you're knocking on doors or whatever, what I would do, I would have like a card, and I would just write no's, and then I would draw boxes. So I'm gonna keep on calling because my goal isn't gonna be I want to set 3 appointments today. No, I want 50 people to tell me no. So I'm gonna put a box of square boxes of 50 square boxes, and I'm gonna keep on calling until 50 people tell me no. Because what's the emotional state when you're making those phone calls? You're really, really like nervous and like you build up the courage to call, and then you leave some messages, and then get someone, and then they said yes, awesome, you're up here, and then someone says no, then like you're way down here. So it's like this. The idea is to keep your emotional level like the same, so that you can continue going, and you're going to achieve a lot more. So if every phone call is you get a little endorphin, because one, if someone says yes, they want to do the appointment or whatever, awesome. I got an appointment. That's awesome. And if someone says no, That's awesome because I get to put a little check mark on my book. And I'm that closer to getting to that yes. Like the whole different shift of no. I posted a reel or I posted a link to a Instagram reel that I really liked, and this guy talks about changing the shifts of the meaning of no. If you knew, if I guaranteed, if I went to Carla, I guarantee you are 50 no's from getting a deal. And you call someone and they told you no, how excited would you be? Like think about it. Like if you knew all you need to do is have 50 people tell you no, and then you were going to make 20,000. Would it take you a long time to make those 20 calls or try to get those 50 no's? Would you be worried about that? Would you be really concerned if someone told you no, even if they were kind of jerks about it? So changing your whole, because cold calling in the wrong mindset freaking sucks. Knocking on doors with the wrong mindset sucks. Setting up mailers, 1,000 mailers at a time with the wrong mindset sucks. All this sucks if you don't have the right mindset. That's why a lot of people don't succeed after trying for so many times. One, they're not doing enough volume to actually do it because they get hung up. Like they'll have, like you guys both brought up really good challenges. Like Heather, like I'm worried about the holidays. I don't want to interrupt them. But if she didn't change her mindset, then she could miss out on making those phone calls and could have helped 3 or 4 people or even one person have a better holiday. It totally changes everything if you just change your how you see things in that mindset. So does that help?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Jared, can I just pipe in?
Hey, one second, Laura.
Okay.
Are you gonna continue making phone calls?
Yes. Maybe Friday after the holidays. I just have to, go through these emotions myself because he was rude.
Sure.
And then
Absolutely.
I don't want to take
it's not all
nobody's.
for.
Yeah.
So
But
do me a favor then. So when is your sacred time? Do you have it once a day, a couple times a week, or when have you watched that?
yes, I am doing it from 2 to 3 before I pick up my kids from school.
Every day?
Every day, yes.
Okay. So what are you going to be doing from 2 to 3? What's your main activities that you're doing? Like making phone calls and what else?
Yeah, looking the information on ProWire and get that list to have those phone calls. Usually by 2 to 3, I'm sitting down and making those phone calls. But
okay,
I might just study more. I know that's not sacred time, but I might just go for driving for dollars and look for some houses that I don't have to talk to people.
Yeah, that's fine. And do me a favor. When you start today, make your avatar. Spend 30 minutes and really put a lot of thought in of the person that needs your help. That's literally on their knees praying for you right now.
Yes, I'll do that.
Make the avatar, put a picture in what their scenario is, and how, and I also want you to write down, like almost like do one pager. How would you feel once you're able to help them? And how grateful will they be that you didn't give up making those phone calls?
Okay.
So how grateful would they be if that you didn't stop and you kept on going? And how will you feel once you're able to get a hold of John or whoever the avatar is? And write as much emotional keywords and how you feel as possible. And when you go, before you start making phone calls or if you're really nervous about it, like sit down and just feel that moment. How would it feel to actually help this person? Like really feel it. Like shut off the music, just close the door, and just close your eyes, deep breaths, like in meditation state. Whether you're into meditation or not doesn't matter, but just close your eyes and actually feel, like picture yourself in the closing table, and you know how your avatar is just so grateful that you were able to come and literally help change the course of their life, help them, give them a fresh start. So create the avatar and then tell me how you feel afterwards. Okay.
I'll do that. Thank you,
Okay.
Jared.
Awesome. All right, sorry, Laura, we have some hands up, and then we
Yeah.
had Laura was going
Oh.
to jump on there for a sec or say something.
Just for a second. So,
Yeah.
just for an example, I know everybody needs to make phone calls, and I would struggle with it too. We're building our list, so I haven't had a chance to sit down and do it. But if I call people for a living, it's not the expense of a house. I call people to get them to buy a car, and I've had some really mean people come in, and I have to ignore them. But just for an example, I make 30 phone calls, if not more, a day just to get them. And I don't make appointments every day. It sometimes takes 2 days or 3 days. But it's the thing I do is I call every single day. And so I know it works because I do it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just a heads up for anybody struggling making those phone calls, you've got to be consistent. And that's how I make my appointments.
That's
just a thought.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you so much. I mean, consistency is true. Even if you're just making 30 calls a day. I mean, that we want to get as the higher numbers, the better, obviously, but it's really make a big difference if you're just consistently doing it. That's why I'm really pushing on sacred time. When are you going to make those phone calls? When are you going to be doing these money making activities, which is talking to human beings, whether that's through text message, whether that's through phone calls, emails. You're reaching out to fellow human beings and having conversations. Okay, sorry, Sandra, you had your hand up for a while. I apologize. What was your question?
Thank you, Jared. I was just gonna add a little bit. One thing that it helped me when I was doing wholesaling, because I remember back in the day when I was also doing cold calling, and I remember one time that a guy, and I was doing cold calls for you, and one guy really like that, very, very upset, very disrespectful, but one of the things that helped me back then and still got me to where I am right now is how is that going to serve me, and look for obstacles, like next time this happened, what will be my response to that guy, because I'm not there like to damage them, or they just reflect their situation, but it's how you prepare to when it happens again. So great job for her that took the courage to do the cold calling, because that's not the simple thing to do. And also when you go door knocking, you will face them directly, and they still react that way, some of them. And one of the things that helped me, it was carrying cards, business cards of people that can also help them, that have license or professional. Sometimes they trust more of those people, because at the end you're there to serve them, not to damage them more. And if they don't see you as that person, then one of the things that prepared me is like, okay, if I understand your situation, always put yourself in their position. I understand how you feel. And if I'm not the person or the person that you're looking to receive the help from, you can also call these persons. And I offer those business cards. Yeah. But those kind of situations actually help you to develop the person that you're going to become.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. And the thing is, the vast majority of people aren't going to be that rude. I mean, there's a lot of like annoyed people. Absolutely. Probably the big chunk of it might be on the annoyed category. But as far as like getting over to that side of things, I mean, Sandra experienced it, and really big shout out to Roseanne Hill, like just making those phone calls, having the courage to start doing it. Unfortunately, you did come up with someone that was a little bit of a jerk, but it's really like we need to have some like pity for that person, that poor guy that he's suffering that, and not to justify it, but when you look at it like that, like I remember when I was younger and I was having some really big challenges with some bullies, and they're just being utter jerks, like just terrible. And I remember like not to get too religious or not, but I actually started to pray for them, and then it changed everything for me, where it was like I felt pity for them, because they feel like they need to just hurt someone else to make themselves feel better. And so it changed every hurtful insult or whatever that they threw at me. It literally just bounced out. It was like, poor guys. That's what I said to myself in my head. It's just like, and their home life was terrible. you know, and in fact, one of them actually became one of my closest friends after the fact. And so and then they stopped because I didn't get any reactions at the end, you know. So it changing the whole mindset is gonna be great. And you got this, Rosanna. You're amazing. What else we had? So Heather, you had your hand up too. Thank you, Senator, for sharing. That is amazing. Spot on.
I think it's very important that you said that that's very rare, because I've been making phone calls for so long and I've never really had that many people that are rude. It's like so rare.
Right.
And I find so much power in silence, just letting them have that moment to just talk and not be reactive, but responsive to their emotions, and just being quiet and listening. Because I don't think a lot of people do that. They get so reactive and they try and push through. Like, I'm trying to help you. It's like such a thing to like prove yourself instead of just letting them have it, letting them have that moment to just vent.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, just like being silent after they've talked, and just give it a moment, and then be like, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. And lots of people are calling you, and that's not going to stop. This situation is not going to go away. And I'm here to help you. And I'm sure you're probably behind on all your bills, not just this one. Is there any other credit cards or something else that maybe I can tie into the deal to help you out? Because I've heard that people, I've never done that. I've said
Yeah,
it.
I don't know about that one, but
actually
the train of thought, I like it.
I've heard Mike Kessler does it. Like if
Does
it's
he?
a small, like $1,000 credit
From the initial cold call, or
yeah, like he'll ask about that. Like, hey, maybe we can figure out something else that's like stressing you out that I can throw in there.
and
If it's like $1,000 or $2 on top of what the house is, it's such a small thing, but it's such a relief for them to say, oh, you're trying to help me with my house, and this one thing, you're really trying to help me.
Yeah. Well, and so yeah, I like that, Heather. It's a good, you know, mindset, and the way to handle it, right, is if they're blown out. Here's the thing. Okay, so this is you know, it is an objection, like when they're just coming at you hard. One, like the signs what Heather said, I think that's really great. Like if they start barking at you and they're still on the phone and then just being quiet, and here's a line that really is really helpful. If you well, let's tell the line first. I think we talked about the other day in the call too, but I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. I am so sorry. I never, my intention was never to offend you. Now that can be from many different pathways, right? So like without like, oh well, you didn't, I'm not really offended, or maybe I'm offended, but that's a disarming technique. And you can even use active listening, because sometimes, again, these people are going through the hardest times in their lives, and so if they just have someone hear them and that they felt heard, that'll almost instantly calm them down. So if they're saying, oh, you guys are just terrible, you feel like you're just trying to take my equity, you're going to do, you know, you're scum of the earth, like, yeah, John, I am so sorry. I never meant to offend you. You know, it sounds like you came across some people that you felt in me and you thought I was one of them. You probably think that I'm just like you said, that I'm, you know, scum of the earth. I'm just trying to steal equity from you and take advantage of people. And I'm just really sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. And then the silence. So now that they felt heard, and there's also a thing when you're talking to someone, and if they're really like yelling at you, if you whisper, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? That's a pattern interrupt too. Even on the phone. That's kind of like, what? You know, just changing your tonality a little bit and talking differently. Like, so I was a Walmart manager for 12 years, and I had to deal with a lot of upset customers, because there's no reason for a customer to be upset at Walmart. Promise, never. I've had people irate, throwing things. I had people like throw punches at me, and may have been deserved. I'm not sure yet. But anyways, but the thing is, like, what's really helpful, like to de-escalate any type of situation, is be the calm, because your natural reaction when you're hearing someone yelling at you, whether it's at the door or on the phone or whatever, is to yell at them. You want to, your natural reaction is to get to that level, because we mirror each other as we're talking. naturally, subconsciously. We mirror each other. And so if you slow everything down and really, really calm, change the, like, maybe even whisper to them. Like I would pull people, like they're yelling at me and I'm like, is everything okay? And I just say it really quiet, like, and they're like, what? They had to come up forward and like, what? Like, is everything okay? And I just whisper it, and then they instantly like lower their voice and start talking quieter. Like it's like an instant. I kid you not. It's crazy. So those are some good techniques when it gets to upset people. And sometimes the best scenario is just hanging up. If you're not the state that you don't feel like you want to even try to save that, it's next. Like what's their favorite word, right? Next. That's our favorite word. So it's okay just to hang up if they keep on going and just moving on to the next one. Okay. Any other thoughts or questions? We can talk about some other objections. Having people scream at nails, I think that's a big objection, I'd say. But
Hey, Jared.
Yeah.
So I just learned this from somebody I've heard speak recently. In real estate and different things, we talk about trends and outliers, right? Trends is what people are doing. Outliers are the things that exist outside of the trend.
Yeah.
And he is saying, be the outlier. Be the outlier. Think of yourself as the outlier. Everybody else is doing the trend. When you're trying to convince somebody, or sell them, they're going to respond, and they're going to expect you to respond like the trend, like everybody else does.
Like a
Be the outlier. Think of a different way, and some of you guys have done this. Think of a way to respond to, in this case, somebody who's, oh, you're the 40th person and all you want is my money and blah, 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 blah. Think of some ways of responding to that they are not expecting. Even just the whispering thing, right? Everyone expects for you to just to charge back and get equally upset, but doing something that they don't expect sort of disrupts the trend and lets them know, oh, this guy's different.
Mm-hmm.
This guy really does care, or this person really is interested in me, or somehow you can convey that, somehow disrupt that. But that was my learn this last month.
I love that.
Listen to this person, is be the outlier.
Well, that's nail in the head, dude. Because like when you think about it, because you're the 40th investor, especially if you're calling the close to auction dates, you're the 40th person that talked to them in the last month, that asking about buying their house. And so it's sounding different, and just like being like doing things like you said, like doing pattern interrupts with us, whispering or whatever, and just like doing active listening where you're actually repeating what they say back to them or summarize what they say back to them. Like, oh, this person actually understood what I was saying.
Yeah, they were actually listening. Yeah, because the trend is, I'm just there to sell a house. I'm there to get a listing. I'm there to get a deal. Yeah. When I don't get it, I'm going to get upset, and that's what they expect every time.
Exactly, and because they've been, I was talking to, and this is like I was talking to Nate, someone today, Nelly. That's right. I was talking to Nelly, and I was talking about wholesalers in general, and wholesalers, as a industry and as a whole, we have a bad name, and that bad name's earned. It is an earned bad name, because every person on YouTube University Guru is preaching that wholesaling is a great way to start to get into real estate, and it is. But then you got people that are coming in and that they watch 3 YouTube videos, or maybe they're doing a shotgun approach, and so maybe they have a decent script, but it's very robotic. It's literally just like, okay, that person has no other choice. Okay, fine, yeah, let's talk about it. And so they're getting all of those type of phone calls where people are being disgenuine, not being upfront and honest with everything they want to do and how they can really help them. And like we talked about before in the other trainings, the mindset to be in any type of conversation you have is what can I? It's not what I want. It's what can I? How can I help them? Because if you're in it like, I want a deal, you're in the phone call, I want a deal, or I'm knocking on the door because I want a deal, versus I'm going to help my avatar. I'm helping John over here because he needs my help. And yes, I'm going to make a lot of money doing it, absolutely, but I really want to help John. What can I do? And even just having like what Carla said with business cards, because if you're offering other resources, like there's like they talk about this in the foreclosure class, like if you're offering like 7 different options to help someone get out of foreclosure, and you are one of those options, but you don't make any money on those other 6, but you're talking about those things. And so just by the sheer fact of like you offering solutions that doesn't make you any money, that is the outlier. That's an outlier. Just like what CJ was saying, that makes you the outlier, 100%. No one's doing that. I mean, we're not students that are doing that, but there's rarity when someone's actually going through all that type of stuff and helping people out and actually showing it. So yeah, I love it. I love it. Any other thoughts or any other objections you want to talk about, or I can give her some common objections that kind of, and the objections may not just be in the first, as far as the conversation cold or not wanting to meet, but just like when you're sitting down with the seller and having a conversation about, hey, this is my offer, how to overcome those objections. What has anybody come across, or is anybody is fearful of coming across certain objections?
I have one that kind of,
yeah,
it's the one that we've been talking to Alan.
Yeah.
He thinks his house is worth way more than it actually is on the market, and he's kind of oblivious to what the market is, but he's kind of set on it, and he doesn't really see his problem. Like he kind of noticed his problem, later on talking to him, but kind of helping him see that and breaking down barriers to be able to get to the actual problem is something that I kind of see recurrently of like trying to help people. And that's one of the objections that I come across a lot. And people have that sentimental value of it's my house and it's worth a lot, and they think it's worth a lot more than maybe it actually is. So maybe get your thoughts on that.
That's great. People are going to come up with, especially, and this is true for sale by owners, so this is very common, but you'll get people just in general, they think their house is worth God knows what. Excuse me. Think their house is worth $1 billion or whatever it is. The one pathway to overcome that objection is saying straight up that your house isn't worth that much. That's insane. But that doesn't go over very well. So how I kind of overcome is try to help them convince themselves or help them see. And with Alan, we didn't quite get there, so it's not like a guarantee how I'm doing the stuff, but it gives you a decent idea as far as like how to. And I think we got he started to open up to it. But the thing is, if I would have came up straight up to Alan, for example, when we were having that conversation, or Nate did, and say, yeah, your house is not worth 650, it's not worth 600, and it's gonna be hard for it to convince it because he did get an offer at 600, and even though that, and the person he went back to him after he denied it because he thought he can get the 650, and so he has that mindset of like, oh, someone gave me an offer, it's worth that. And that person, whether he's actually going to buy it at 600 is a whole nother thing. Because then we went back to him, because he's waited like a couple of months, and then went back to the guy or something like that. So him having that offer really was like the linchpin of him thinking that the house is worth more than it really was. And he told me he had other offers that would have paid 600, but they would needed to have to rezone it or do some other things to it. And so I asked him, like, so you got that one offer, and hopefully you can close at that. Who knows? I know plenty of people, and telling stories helps. I know plenty of people that get things under contract, and then they nickel dime you down to whatever price they really willing to pay for it. Like I don't like that type of strategy, but it is very common. But the other people that did offer the 600, they would have to do something to the property to get to that price point, correct? Yeah. And so I think it's when he started to get some light bulb, like, yeah, maybe it's not, but he didn't have any urgency to sell, so it wasn't that prevalent at that time. But asking them questions that, like, if they give you a crazy number to start it out, this is what you do. So they give you a crazy high number. Yeah, I'm just curious. You're saying that house is worth 800,000. Where did you come up with that number? And I'm just curious. Put that in your back pocket for every conversation, because you can get away with a lot of things, asking certain things without feeling intrusive. So
There's
I'm
another
just
one.
curious. Yeah.
So, 800,000, let's say 800,000
Yeah,
is too
yeah,
much, right?
yeah.
Maybe who knows what the real number is. 800,000, well, why not make it 1,000,000? And
Go the opposite way.
they'll probably
I
come
like
back
that.
and say, "Oh, well, that's too much." Oh,
I
well,
like
then
that.
how did you find out that how do you know that 800's not too much?
Yes.
Something along that line.
I like
I
that.
mean,
I like that a
that's
lot.
like
I'm adding that to my tool belt right there. I like that. Why not make it 1,000,000? And you have to be playful when you do something like that, guys. If you're like you got to be playful in your tonality, But yeah, I like that. And so asking where they get it, and so sometimes they're like, I just feel like it's worth that, or they'll say, they talked to, or they saw like the house down the street sold for that price, at that point, I mean, depending on what their understanding is, just in real estate, just in general, just asking questions like, do you know how like homes are kind of evaluated? Like, if you ask to some agent, and again, you need to make it where the market's the bad guy, and turn it into a we. Okay, so they think it's worth this much, and like, man, I'd love to pay this much, but here's the challenge. Here's some challenges that we help us pull out. So that's the mindset you want to be in. Like, we're we against the market. The market's the bad guy. Okay, so if they say like, yeah, this house down the street sold for X amount. Yeah, okay, cool. Or they just feel like the price is worth 800. Like, okay, yeah, I totally get it, because what I put into it, blah blah blah, whatever story they're saying. Like, oh yeah, totally get that. What I mean, are you familiar with how they, like, if you ask an agent or an appraiser how they kind of figure out the values of the properties where they can start out with, and they may or may not, like, yeah, so they do comparables, and so what's actually selling in that condition. Like, I can find a house down the street that's a mansion, brand new build, but house next door that's 300 years old is not going to be worth the same, even if it's different square footage. So just explaining how the market works, and if you have some comps available, like, it's like, I mean, can I show you some comps? This is what I've been able to pull up, what I'm looking at. The great thing about pulling comps, you can pull higher comps and lower comps and still be true. Because if a realtor gives a CMA, it's based off an opinion, and so it's based off of kind of what they're looking at. So you can give any type of comps you're giving them, that's true comps, right? If they're still on it, like, no, I think because this other house sold it, and I'm sure it can sell just the same. And if they can't get past the condition part, or Zillow says it's worth 800, and your offer is like 600, for example. If they can't get past that, then like, okay, so can I run an example? And so you're taking away from their emotional, just like more brass, like just in general. Like, if you're looking for a house and you see two houses, one house, and they live right next door to each other. One house was built 10 years ago. It's 3,500 square feet. And if you can kind of compare it to whatever they're comparing to, if you can look up the address, like right there, like, let me take a look at this, and actually do better examples, it'll hit home better. Like, so this house is 3,000 square feet. They remodeled the house, and everything looks great. It's new, everything's working, brand new roof. And that house is listed for 800,000, or that house is listed for, you can say different price, is listed for 400,000. The house next door, it's only 2,000 square feet, and everything's outdated. The roofs can need repair. And you can start listing out some stuff that particular house that you're in, challenges that they're facing, but you're talking about something else, right? And whatever the problems are, and it needs to remodel completely, even to be kind of livable for just a traditional consumer. That's listed for 400,000. Tell me, which house would you buy? Well, 400. Okay, but what? But would you, if you could buy both of them, would you buy that one for 400 too? Well, no. Well, why not? So you're having them like see it themselves, like, why wouldn't you buy it for 400,000? Well, I would have to do all that work, and have to do all this and this and this to make it, even to get it, and it's smaller than the other house. Okay, so that right there is exactly how things are marketed. So even though their houses are close to each other, that's only one factor in how we evaluate property values, is not just the closeness, but the condition. Even if they're exact same square footage, same bedrooms, but it's the condition that really makes a big difference. It's everything we talked about. It makes it. That's why. So do you? How do you feel about that $800,000 number? Now that we had a conversation, because I totally get where you're coming from. Especially if other houses are selling it. But with everything we talked about, what do you think about that price now? And so you're not saying they're wrong, but you're helping them see it through themselves. Like you're walking them through scenarios, right? And so another problem that you'll get is agents. I love you, agents, I do, but some of you, good God. Agent, sometimes they're like, yeah, it's worth this. An agent came in, says that they can list it for this, and they're gonna get it for that price. It's one of my biggest aggravations. A lot of these agents, they'll like if you ask an agent, just a random agent out there, like for a CMA or comparables, and this is true, so you gotta be kind of aware that there are agents that are out there. And I'm not trying to trash people, but you don't know what you don't know. And the real training that gets involved when you become an agent is really trash. Every agent here will tell me that. Sometimes they'll connect with the brokerage that actually gives them decent training. The vast majority, garbage. And a lot of these agents only do a couple deals here and there. Okay, I think the average agent is like one a year or something like that, or maybe not even that. I don't know. But is it 3 or 4? Oh, 4 years. Average agent's 4 a year. Okay. But there's a lot of those are the newbies aren't doing anything. So, and if they'll do comparables, but they're not really factoring in the conditions because they don't know what they don't know. Or they'll do comparables and they're pulling up like sales like that are on the market listings, nothing that actually sold. Like pending, maybe there's a little bit leeway there, or like the offer, like it's in process. So it's like that's pretty close. At least someone's offer trying to buy it for that price. That's kind of there. But you'll get like this off the wall, and so now they're in the mindset of like, okay, the agent said I can sell it for this, and so I was like, well, if you sell it for that price, and I mean, and how long would it take them to close? Why didn't you go with the agent then? And if they say something like, oh, I got an offer this much, oh great, well you should take it. Don't take my offer. My offer's not even close to that. You should definitely take that. And what are they're trying to use a pretend offer against you as well. But anyways, so sometimes with that, if they don't have a huge massive urgency to sell, but they have this mindset it's worth this much because the Mr. Agent said it was worth that much, you may have to just put them on a follow-up if they don't want to take any offers after that. That's lower than that price. Because once reality hits, and this is true for sell by owners, when their price point's way up there, no matter what you say, that's what they want to do. But after the fact, if you make sure you put them on a follow-up list, like put it in your calendar, in your Google Calendar, whatever. If you don't have a CMA, it's fine, but put a reminder in your calendar, your Google Calendar, iPhone calendar, whatever you use, to call back Billy Bob about this address, and just like, oh, I'm just calling to see how things are going. And when you end the conversation with Bob the first time, you need to say, hey, I understand this offer is not going to work for you. Is it okay if I reach out to you in a couple of weeks to see how things are going? See if just to check up. Is that all right? Awesome. And then you call back, hey, as promised, or sending him an email, text message, as promised, I'm calling you back. How are things going? How were you able to get it listed and with that agent or whatever it is, or get it sold for that price? Another thing too, if they had it on the market for a while, is asking them what kind of offers have they been getting. And so if they give you a number, whatever that number is, like, oh, another trick too to add an anchor, a lower, so they're you guys understand what anchoring is in numbers and negotiations? So anchoring it's done all the time. So you've seen this, you go to Walmart and you see a price for, I don't know, mouses. There it's in a display and it's $20, and that's normally be kind of expensive. But if it says it was $40. Does this seem like a better deal now? It's psychology. They anchored you on that $40 price point to now just like Black Friday, the vast majority of those, they raise the prices of those products 2 months prior. This is a guy that knows retail, guys. They raise the prices 2 months prior because I done that. Raise the price 2 months prior, and then when it comes down to Black Friday, then they can lower it down and have a was price that was this high. So that's anchoring that price point, right? So like, oh, this is a better deal. On the flip side, you're buying something, you know, from or trying to buy as an agent or trying to sell something, like you want to anchor them first to a lower price point. So even if they're trying to sell it at 800 and they're getting offers at 700, but yours is closer to 6, and like, oh geez, I'm surprised people weren't trying to get it at you for 500. Or and if they are getting offers, like let them say their offers, because then that puts them in a lower anchor. Because if I'm offering 600,000 and they were hoping for 8, that's going to feel bad. But if we're anchoring them at the 400 or 500 range, somehow that 600 doesn't feel as bad. It feels actually a better deal than what the other offers or what they could have gotten. Does that make sense? It's all about emotions, nothing to do with real numbers. It's how we pitch it and how we're anchoring them. So if they've had offers in the past that kind of help them see what the real value is of the property, or at least generally pretty close, and then throw out a pretend scenario. Oh, I'm surprised. Like I know plenty of people that would offer like 400,000 for a property just like this. You haven't had any of those? No, I haven't, but it's in their head now. It's psychology. It's awesome. This is fun. This is the fun stuff. But I know, and I apologize. I go in tangents. That's just how my brain is. I just go everywhere at once. But so those are some ways to kind of help people remove the higher price points, right? We given a lot of like gems and how to kind of do it, and there's different strategies, and there's not necessarily a wrong way of doing it. It just kind of varies on how the conversation flows, and which tool you want to get. You know, so like CJ just gave me the overreach. Like I like that, or whatever you want to call it, right? Why not $1 million? And when you ask that question, shut up after. If you're playing around, like be playful, like why not $1 million, and laugh a little bit or whatever. But then like wait for an answer. Silence is the biggest tool for negotiations. It's huge, huge. Okay. Did that help, Nate? I think as far as like, you know, different ways of overcoming similar objections. I mean, and again, sometimes, like I said, you got to wait them out. Like Alan, we're gonna have to wait them out, but we do have a pretty good idea if we can get a hold of them of something that might work. But
yeah, I think that answers a lot, and I think, you know, just to comment on that, I think, you know, there's a lot of importance in actually finding out what their needs are, because they may have it listed really high because they have a lot of debts, or they pulled all their equity out and they really need that out of it, or something like that. So really, you know, there is training them of like, you know, what the market is, and there will be some of that because there's a lot of, you know, misconception of things like that. But there's, you know, a lot of times there's deeper concerns that they're really trying to get out of it. And so like get those out is really what you're searching for, is getting deeper and actually finding out, okay, really, what do you need and why? Like, what are you planning on doing with this money when you get it? Like, what is it going to do for you? You know, so
that's huge. No, and that's huge. Like with the Alan example, we found out that he wants 160,000 to go buy 2 other properties. So him selling at 600, he only needs to sell like 490, and he'll get the 160. So that to shadow what you're saying is find out what the real whys are. And if you can't get past that, you know, and before you do, like, just gotta wait them out. Like, find out what the real whys they're selling. That's gonna be big. Oh, Kelly put on here. Okay. So she has a scenario. Let's talk about that before we end the call in a few minutes. And these calls, like, we'll have a subject or theme, but as whatever you guys need, that like we can shift things over. You know what I mean? Like we talked about the cold calling and getting over those type of mindsets. Like, by all means, like, or even like, hey, I have a guy I want to talk to. Let's jump on a phone call with him right now. Like, sweet, let's do that. All right, so Kelly Stevens, she says, I'm talking to a guy who says every time he brings it up with his wife, it's a fight. He also is downplaying being in default because I can tell he's embarrassed. Yep, yeah, this makes sense. He says he just wants to move because he doesn't like the area. He says he has a NOD under control, but wants to sell and wants to sit down with me. Now he's not answering his phone. Okay, so what did Kelly on that? Did you ask him like what is his wife and him fighting about? Like, does she not want to sell?
I think I didn't ask him that, but it sounds
Okay.
like they're just fighting about the issue in general.
Right. So when you're in situations like that and it turns into a fight, there's something called mirroring. And this is a really good way to get, because whatever they tell you, because and I think you probably nailed it. He's embarrassed of being a notice of default. And so it's hard to kind of be 100% truthful when you're embarrassed about that truth.
Right.
Right. And so there's the technique is called mirroring. And so if what it is you repeat the last 3 words that they said, the last 3 words or the last 3 keywords that they say, and then you shut up. So for example, if you're saying, every time I bring it up to my wife, there's always a fight. Always a fight? And then what did everyone feel in that little silence? It was a very short silence, but like we should be saying something. You're going to feel the urge to say something. And so will he. And so he'll start talking. And then whatever it may be, like, well, yeah, she doesn't want to sell. Oh, she doesn't want to sell? And you just look at him and be quiet. So you want to find out what the real challenge is. And it's really hard for people to have that silence, or even when you're asking questions, it's hard not to answer. So if he's not answering, by the way, your text message or whatever, so this is not mine, but it works. It's from Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference, which also where I got the mirroring technique. He's another book everyone should read. So I talked about 2 books here. So the Go for No, and then the Chris Voss, VOSS, Never Split the Difference. So good. That book has made me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, has contributed to me making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay. So if they're not responding to anymore, a good reply to them with text message or a email or whatever the mode is send them a text message like, hey John, whatever, hey Mr. Seller, I haven't heard from you in a while. I just wanted to check if you've given up on selling your property. Or whatever their pain point was. Like, are you giving up your selling your property so you don't have to worry about X, Y, and Z? If you know anything about their pain points or what they're going towards. Does that make sense? If he doesn't respond, it means that he has given up. But you'll be shocked about the amount of times people will come back in like, no, I haven't given up on it. Oh, great. Then great. Can I jump on a phone call right now? Or can we talk this time, whatever? Does that make sense, Kelly?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. I love the mirroring. I tend to forget about that, but the more I hear it, hopefully the more available it'll be to me next time I'm in a conversation.
Well, and also another key phrases, right? Is like, tell me more about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, because I mean, it feels compassionate too.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
yeah, I mean, it made me want to answer. So.
Right. That's it too, right? So you need to get a little bit behind and let him feel safe with you, right? Especially with the compassion you talked about, that you can talk about. There's no judgment-free zone here. That's kind of the vibe you need to be giving this person, that judgment-free zone where you're good to, what can I do to help you?
Yeah.
So
if he doesn't respond to that, I know like Mitch has told me to, have like at least 12 touch points. If he doesn't respond to that, would you check in again?
So if he
I
doesn't
think I've
respond to that,
contacted him like 6 times so far.
means he has given up on it.
Okay.
And when is, do you know his auction date or how far along he's in the process?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know that I mean, he's been in default for a little while now. So
Lily, that's exactly right. Yep. Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. So maybe if you have that info at the ready, like to easily look it up. Don't spend a ton of time. But as it gets really closer, so for example, if he's just in the notice of default stage, hasn't gotten real close to an auction date just yet, or when they set an auction date, then put it in your calendar too. And here's the thing, guys, you don't need to have all sorts of fancy. I mean, it's helpful to have CMAs or not CMAs. Oh my God. RCMs.
CRMs.
CRMs. Thank you. I'm an
Yeah.
idiot for a second. So CRMs, which is a way to keep track of leads or whatnot. I mean, it's don't get your head wrapped in the gears because you're not going to be talking with that many people right away when you first start your business to actually need something to flow in a million people. Like right now, a whiteboard is good enough. Now that obviously, if you can't get a CRM, do it. Absolutely, there's plenty of options. You know, Christine actually has some.
Yeah, if you need
resources
help,
for you.
I can help.
Yeah, she that's literally what she does for a living. So like talk to her about stuff like that too. But even like my especially when I first started, my follow-up system, you guys know what it is? It's Google Calendars. That was my follow-up system because then I would have a conversation and then I'd create an event and a future date. Like if I knew that auction date was coming in 2 weeks, I'd call a week later, week before the auction. Hey, and always leave the door open when you're ending conversations. It's okay if I reach out to you, especially if they don't want to take your offer or whatever. It's okay to reach out to you in a couple of weeks or a month or so and see how things are going.
thanks, Jared.
Yep. Yes, and Lily, that's right. Richard Fenton, and then Ashley something else. Ashley Watts.
Quick question, real quick. Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, Lily.
Real quick, I know over the top of the hour. So I have this guy on the first that we went to see.
It's really hard to hear you. It sounds like you're underwater. Or is it just me? Is everyone in the same thing? Oh yeah. Talk to NC. Yeah.
She's at the beach, of course.
I know.
Can you hear me now? Can you just hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Yep.
Okay, you know, those headsets cost me $400. I don't know how to use it. So anyway, going back to my point, we went to this place to see this house, and initially the seller was okay to buy it, and he just showed us the house. We took a contractor to the house. Well, we got the property through a conversation that I had with an agent, and the house is not listed, but the agent knows this person. Anyhow, and I asked the agent, well, how much they want? Well, I don't know. They owe this much of money and they need this amount to move on. Okay, so I put my offer, and now she's saying, oh, the agent, that is or the friend, I would say, because the house is not listed. She says, okay, well, they don't want to sell it anymore until next year. And I know they want to sell. At this point, I don't know how to approach them again to make a better offer maybe, or find their why they want to sell without trespassing the agent, which is not an agent, but it's a friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So is a friend are they making commissions on it or anything like that at all, or what's, because they are an agent or they're not an agent?
They are an agent, but the house not listed.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, she is going to represent them effectively, right?
Yes, and I offer actually to pay her a commission to her, so she doesn't have to list the property, and she was okay with that. I said, I'll pay you 3%, not a split with your broker. But I don't know. It seemed like they didn't like our offer, but at this point, I don't know how to reach again to them. Just knock the door. The agent will be upset if I go over, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, so if I believe in dancing with the girl that brought you, so if someone brought you a lead, then make sure that they're taken care of one way or another. So I think, especially if she's your friend, they're like, hey, listen, friend, I understand they didn't want my offer last time, but me and CJ were talking about it. I think we have a solution that might be like, it's okay if I go talk to them and then if they actually like it, I can make sure that you're getting paid your commission, or if you want to come with me, or what would be the best way that we can do this so that you're taken care of too, right? So you're throwing it out there that like, can I just go talk to him? Like you're pretty much asking permission, or do you want to come with me? So you're not necessarily you're one of the options you're giving them is not like, hey, can I give you an offer? And then you talk to them, because you want to have that face time with the seller, because you're more likely to get the yes. And so it's like, can I go talk to him, or do you want to come with me? And you're leaving out there, and then she may inject and say, hey, just tell me the offer, and then I'll tell them, okay, cool, awesome. I mean, I do want to have some questions about some of the, it's a little creative, and I think I don't want it to, I think it might be best if we do talk together. Would that be okay? And so that's how I would handle it personally, right? If someone gives me a lead, then I want to make sure that they're taken care of, like they're.
Okay,
Did that answer the
that
question?
helps a lot.
Or?
No, that helps a lot. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, Jared?
Yes.
Oh, I was just gonna tell Lily, try that approach, and if it don't work, then have your husband go in, because he's not an agent, is he?
He is an agent too.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Going in at that approach, or maybe asking somebody else to go in somebody that's not an agent going in straight to the actual seller themselves.
And
just kind of going
right.
I mean, I would
find
say
someone that can.
do it the way Jared said, and if not, just kind of like, okay, like they think that you're backing off, walking away, and then maybe get somebody from the community just to get in there and then say, here, just give them a compensation of whatever, and then go through the back door that way.
I like that. My only caveat or suggestion wise would be to, if let's just say you got Carla, hey Carla, go talk to her, and even if Carla maybe like, I tried, I couldn't get through. I mean, I kind of have a little bit different of a situation with my friend. I don't want to mess things up. Go get it. If you're doing a joint venture with Carla, then I would, and they agreed to it, like, okay, this makes sense. The friend better than most, right? So I'll go back to them. Hey, listen, this is what's going on. I still want to make sure you brought me this. I suggested my friend Carla, and she needed some extra help with this deal. Or better yet, no, how do I put it? Because you want to make sure, because they're going to find out eventually that you bought the house, even if it's through Carla. You know what I mean? I mean, if they don't, there's a good chance you don't want to ruin a friendship. And
but
then
in an LLC.
Yeah.
I thought it was the seller's friend, but it's Lily's friend.
Oh no, is it the seller's friend? Oh, that changes everything then. Okay, sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, it was the seller's friend.
I am so sorry.
See,
oh
yeah,
yeah, totally.
I'm like, yeah,
okay.
She's out the ball game.
Okay, sorry, my bad. I am thinking way different. So, now the seller's friend brought it to you, Lily. Is that right? Because maybe I missed it. This is my fault, guys. I apologize. Yeah. So
the seller's friend is an agent, but they're not under contract with the seller.
Got it.
She just came in after the house expired, and,
I see.
and then approached us with this. We can,
Got it. So who, the agent approached you, or the seller approached you?
The agent.
Okay. So she brought you to the dance, and
right.
even if you did it like to be able to contact them without risking your license, if you had using Carla's example, have Carla reach out to her during contract, you can have a joint venture, LLC, whatever. But I would still,
however,
I would still go back to the agent, get them paid.
Yeah, go back to the agent, because it's the code of ethics too.
Yeah.
So you don't want to skip that.
Yeah. No, we're not looking at skipping her out. Plus,
sure.
But
everybody's get in there. Yeah.
Everyone's an opportunity for more deals. We don't look at people transactionally. This is about relationships. So we always had intention of getting her paid. We could have gone around her, but we just looked at her as, hey, this is somebody else who can bring us more. So
100%. Yep. No, you're absolutely right. And so yeah, I think that's how I would handle it. If that's good. But yeah, and this is true. Even if someone is not an agent, guys, and they bring you a lead, make sure you're at least giving them a finder's fee or something. If you're an agent, make sure that you not a finder's fee, but a partnership in that scenario, whatever that may be. But and it's just good karma of everything, So as long as they're getting what makes sense. And I know CJ and Lily would never do anything other than that. So, phenomenal. Okay, what other questions? We're a little bit over time. I have another call here at after 12, but any other thoughts, questions, concerns? And feel free, if you're coming across objection or something or a scenario like Kelly, for example, if you have that scenario, like you can post that in the community and ask feedback, you know.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Anna.
Yeah, hi, Jared. Well, I'm new on this. I've never done any deals, so how I can create a relationship with the I don't know, with the lady who works in the company title company to, and how I ask her to give me the list for the houses that are in foreclosure, because I'm new. I don't have nothing to offer.
Yep.
So how I approach her.
So and I had a conversation about Nate. Well, Nate was telling me that people were bringing him deals because he was using the minion method, which is kind of what you're saying here, which is, oh yeah. I just wanted to shout out to Nate because awesome. But squirrel. Anyways, to start the conversation with a title agent. So remember, you need to change the mindset. When you're talking to any professional, anyone, it's what can you do for them? How can you, being a business partner, not as partner, but doing business with them, help them achieve their goals? So what do you typically a title agent want? They want more deals coming to them, right? They want to close more deals. They want their commissions. So a simple way of going about it, and with you being brand new, that's totally fine. And you can be transparent about that too. Like, hey, I'm brand new, but I'm actually working with a company that or with a community that we're, closing 10 transactions a month. And my goal is to close, 3 or 4 a month of personal deals. So you're not just a newbie, but you're actually working with your shared credibility, right? And so you say, this is my goal. I'm working with this community that we're closing a lot of deals a month. I'm trying to close 3 myself. And I understand that you guys have access to the notice of default list, and I'm wondering if you have some sort of mail out list, and because everything that I get that I need to close, I would love to bring the business to you, and once we build this relationship, I'd love to bring my future business as well. So, like, what they're doing, right? This is the layer, right? So they know what I know that you guys can do this, or I've heard someone told me that you guys can do this. I want to bring business to you. If anything that I find from that, I'm going to bring it to here and then my future business as well. So for them, they're seeing, oh, great. Anna is not just someone just asking, I need a list. Give me a list. Give it to me. Like, oh, Anna's going to bring me some 3 deals a month potentially. That's awesome. Okay, yeah. Let me put you on my awesome list, and then because for them they're already sending it out.
Another thing I was just gonna say is like you can leverage other people in the community. You can say, hey, like I'm working with Jared, on a few deals, and leverage, like they know that he's a good source, and they're like, oh, she's working with him, so like yeah, I'll hook you up, and you're instantly in the family, so like leverage other people in the community that have worked with them and say, hey, I'm in the community, I'm working with so and so, and we're working on deals, so like I just wanted to introduce myself and connect, and then instantly you're in. So
yep. Like so Audrey put in here, my team and I are doing this, and absolutely great.
Okay, thank you.
I haven't talked to Whitney or Christine if they do this, but I'm sure they do. But Whitney and REI Title, I'm sure, like I'd be surprised if any title companies don't offer the NOD list to people. But yeah, like Christine in GT Title as well. Those are only 2 title companies I want to close with. Everyone else, they're not investor friendly. And
GT and
GT Title and then REI Title. So Christine and GT Title she's amazing. Like I can literally point out, the dollar figure how much she saved me off of deals because of one thing went sideways and she was able to fix it. And same with Whitney. So those two have saved me between the, I mean, the exact dollar amount right now, well, that can physically say like 16,000. Christina saved me, and then Whitney saved the deal, which we made 20,000 on. So they're amazing ladies. Love them both. And they're very investor friendly, both of them. So Christine's more bigger, words, grammar, whatever. Christine is she's in a bigger business. She's so you won't get necessarily the nice one-on-one time. Winnie used to work with Christine in GT Title. And so she took all that knowledge and all that her cool tricks, and then they started their own title company. But
Jared?
yes.
Oh, Christine is actually with Renatus.
Oh, she's part of Renatus? I didn't know she was part of Renatus. That's awesome.
Yeah, I close with Christina all the time.
Is Whitney
yes.
part of Renatus? Because she was at the thing yesterday, last week, wasn't she? I don't know.
Oh, was she? Oh, she might have.
If she's not,
kind of start
we need to
checking
fix
it
that.
out. But I know Christine is. Yeah, right.
So totally, yeah, amazing people. Love it. Okay, I know I kind of went in tangent there, but what? Any other questions? I gotta jump out of here soon. But what? Anything else? No. Okay, we're good. Awesome. I'll put the recording into the group, and then let's do this. I'm excited. Keep things going, making phone calls, get your sacred time going, and we'll have a call on Wednesday, and then I'll do another one on Friday too. So love it. Okay, guys. Adios, muchachos.